And as I'm on the phone to her, I was outside smoking cigarettes one after the other, and I saw footprints in the snow, but they were walking up towards the deck that I was standing on. Hi, friends and fans. Welcome to I Want to Believe. Each episode, a special guest and I will review viral paranormal videos and give you our opinions on whether it's real or if it can be debunked. So, are you a believer or a skeptic? Put your beliefs to the test as we check out some alleged proof of the paranormal caught on video. Today, my special guest co-host is Erin-Rae Govers, fellow Lady Gaga stan and Brisbane icon, formerly a Melbourne icon. Erin, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you going?
Good, good. Thank you so much for coming on. Great to have you on. Now, for those outside the Lady Gaga fan base who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Erin, I'm 28, and I am a TV and radio producer.
So, Erin, what type of TV and radio shows do you typically produce?
So right now we've just finished producing a film festival, the Ipswich City Film Festival for youth. We just did that one. And our radio show is called The Easy Link on phoenixradio.com.au. It's just
Nice.
a chill little radio show. Me and Link just talk about nothing really.
Nice, nice. And for those watching, Lincoln was our first guest on the first episode, so make sure you check out their radio show. Now, Erin, would you consider yourself a believer of the paranormal or more of a skeptic?
100% a believer. It is very real. Very,
Nice.
very real.
Nice, nice. Now, just before we get into our stories, I thought we would get into some ooky spooky videos. So I'll bring the first one up.
Let's go.
So with this first video, I always love these types of videos because I always try to figure out if it's fake or if it's real. You know, there's plenty of influencers on Instagram trying to, sell tummy teas or trying to sell their bullshit products. This one, I don't know if she's trying to sell White Claw, this alcoholic drink down the bottom, but it's what she captures on the curtain behind her that is a bit, what the hell? So let's press play.
So for today's drink,
so as you can see, she's trying to promote something, but there's something in the curtain behind her. She rushes over, there's nothing there. So like, what the hell? If there was something behind it, you'd think that they would have seen it. So I'll just go back and I'm gonna play it in half speed. So here she is, very pretty, trying to sell alcohol, I guess. And the curtain behind her just looks like there's something behind it. Like, it looks like there's an arm that's going down.
Ew, I just got shivers.
Like, if I go back, I'm gonna play it in quarter speed.
It looks like it pokes it. Like,
yeah,
pokes it first and then just like brushes it down.
and like, I thought initially when I was watching this, I thought, oh, surely it's the wind because it's outdoors. There's a curtain right in the middle, but why would the wind have such a arm placement, like an arm shape?
Yeah.
So I'll just play it again at quarter speed. You can see that it goes a little bit down. It looks like there's arms that strokes it all the way down. She rushes over, and yet in that time, it could have run to the left, but
That's the only explanation, unless she now steps back and that's a wall.
yeah, I have a feeling there is a wall there.
It looks like it could be a wall there.
Like,
I will admit, I have seen this video before.
Yeah.
And it does give me the creeps every time. Because, like you said, that's not wind. Wind doesn't do that.
yeah,
The only other explanation I can have is that like little bird flew in there at the start, but still that doesn't explain how it like moved it sideways like that.
Yeah. I even thought, could it be possibly that maybe someone's on the roof and they've got like a we call it like a plastic arm or a rake, I don't know, something that maybe they're just like pushing down, but then it doesn't explain like how it just disappears, because even if they timed it perfectly, you would have seen a shadow, you would have seen maybe some kind of user error. And at the start here, I can tell just by her facial expression that this isn't faked. Like, I can feel like her reaction's genuine. I mean, she's trying to figure out what she's doing with this white claw. Shout out to Riverdale, who called it maple claw. And yet she notices it straight away, whereas I feel like if it was a fake reaction, she might be like or trying to be more of a like
and she runs at it. Like, I feel like she was ready to fight. She had a swing, like she was ready to fight that. So I think it's a genuine reaction. I think this is real.
In this next video, also, this hasn't been able to be found from the original source. It always appears on like top 20 Watch Mojo compilations, or, you know, a YouTuber like myself, like top 5 scary videos, etc., of like ghosts caught in the woods. But from what I can tell, it looks like this was filmed in America or possibly Canada. This person claims that he carried. Let me rewind. This person claims that he captured what looks like a creature figure, but it looks like a human creature hybrid, possibly a spirit, just walking through the woods. He claims that he was the only person walking through these woods, and he noticed some very strange sliding, so he took out his phone camera, but he's never been able to explain what he found. So I'll just play this clip. So it's snowing, he's got a lot of outdoor shots, just like going through the woods. And then in the next shot, you can see this creature figure just walking past. So just around here. Like, to me, it looks like a person. I don't necessarily get like creature from it. I feel like maybe it's
just a dude in hunting gear. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But then, like, the weird thing is he just disappears. Like, oh, there he is. It's like he disappears for bits at a time, and then he comes back, and it's like, are they trying to say this is Bigfoot? Are they trying to say this is like a random ass creature?
Kind of shorter than I expected for a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Guys on Tinder when they're like, yes, I'm 6 foot.
Yes.
Oh, it's so weird to me. When I saw this video, I was like, am I supposed to be looking for a ghost? Am I supposed to be looking for something that's gonna like jump out at me, or like, is it gonna sprout wings or something a bit more, you know, over the top? But I just think this is a setup video.
I think that there's too many different shots, and like, you know, the setup seemed a bit, I don't know, storyboarded, if that makes sense.
Say I was in this person's position and someone's walking across back and forth very close to me. I would not be standing there being like, hey, going back and forth.
Oh my gosh, it's Bigfoot.
I'd be like, I'm getting the fuck out of there. I don't care.
Especially if that person's just pacing in the woods. That's like horror movie 101. Let's not stick around and film the creepy murder man.
I swear, some of these videos, I'm just like, are they asking to be killed? Like, sure. It's just a bit weird to me. Oh, yeah, so apparently it is supposed to be Bigfoot. I'm sorry, that is not
wait,
Bigfoot.
I'm sorry. So you're telling me they have a souvenir shop at the end of this experience?
Mm-hmm.
So the owner is out there?
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, cool. Alright, cool. I understand now.
Such a marketing ploy. Like, I'm sorry. even if they're trying to say this footage is proof of Bigfoot, like, come on, at least be a bit more genuine with it. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
that's
is
amazing. Oh, that just made it so much better.
it?
Didn't
Now,
get your photo out in the field? Come, we've got a cutout. Oh my gosh.
it's like they post on like LinkedIn or like seek.com. They're like, need someone to dress in weird outfit for up to 3 hours in the woods. You will be featured on like 50,000 YouTube videos. Come for the exposure.
We pay in exposure and experience.
With this next video,
Oh.
this claims to be proof of somewhat poltergeist activity slash ghost activity. So with the cat down here, it's clearly looking at something, but it's what's happening over here that's really interesting. So I'll just play it. So you can see, oh, actually, let me
Straight
rewind
away.
it. I didn't expect it to happen so quick. So in the bottom right, you can see what looks like a person walking, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like one of those animation
Oh,
models.
there it is. This is real. I got my shivers.
Like, I'm not sure what it could be.
It's a child.
Like, I'm trying to figure out if it walks into the cupboard here or if it walks down the steps.
Yeah.
It looks like it's walking up the steps.
It comes back up the steps. So it comes here, turns into its little orb,
Hmm.
and then goes down the steps, and then comes back up the steps.
I find it so freaky, especially because I remember actually doing this video course as part of my uni training. So we were looking at things like how to use depth of field when it comes to DSLR cameras, how to get wide exposure shots. And it was so funny. I actually remember, I hate when YouTube videos do this shit. But I remember my camera teacher, he was also a ghost hunter. And he said, look, I'm going to show you something right now. This is how I debunk 95% of all alleged footage of orbs on camera. And he plucked out an eyelash, he put it on the lens of the camera, and he blew the focus out so that it was focusing on the background. And because the lash was in front of the camera, it was blurred out to oblivion. And it looks exactly like almost every single orb that I see on camera. Likewise, he got a bit of dust, he just sprinkled it in front of the camera, and it looks like all the orbs that people would claim they see on camera.
Yeah.
But likewise, he said, look, I've captured some pretty serious shit. Like, him and I actually went to the quarantine station. So this happened in the shower block at the quarantine station in Sydney. So it was me, a few uni friends, we went with our film lecturer, and we took photos of everything. We had camcorders, we had a DSLR camera, one person was using their iPhone at one point. None of us really got crazy photos per se, but I took this photo and I was like, what is this here? It looks like a letter G. It's probably Gaga calling out the new single.
Yeah.
But I was like, what do these dots mean? Because it looks like there's a bunch of clusters of dots. Some are brighter than others. And I got my film lecturer to look at it. I was like, can you debunk this? Like, can you tell me if it's like something to do with camera lens? Is it because of the positioning from maybe the doorway? And he said he could never explain it. He's never captured something like that on camera. He didn't say specifically that it could be orbs, but I was like, I didn't necessarily feel unsettled in the shower area, but we took some other photos where I was like, I don't know what it could be. Like, if I go through this album, also this is from like 9 years ago. Like, I remember zooming in on this thing and I was like, hey, can you see what this
There's
is?
a face there. I see a face there anyway. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm tripping.
Like, I could see 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. My film lecturer disagrees. He said that it could have just been like a fingerprint on the lens of the camera, but it doesn't have the same fingerprint on the other sides. So I don't know what it is. That's me. This is the friend group we went with, and this was at the stage where we went to the gravedigger's cottage and just like couldn't like, there's, I actually have a video which I'll bring up as well, but there's me again. I don't know why the cam wow coloring, but
That's what 2013. Yeah, that's
yeah, it was in
You-
style.
that was fine. That's fine.
Likewise with this hospital bed area. So we had someone with a torch. We thought maybe the torch was reflecting off of the wall in the shower block. That's where those clusters of orbs were.
Yeah.
But he was outside the entire time, so we ruled that out. Here in this area, it was a hospital board. I had a really strange feeling, but we never actually captured anything. Like,
Okay.
we had like multiple cameras going. People were taking photos every like 2 seconds, but like now this is where it gets freaky. So this is a chair in the Gravediggers Inn or the Gravediggers Cottage. It was a completely isolated area from the rest of the quarantine station. When we went in there, straight away we all felt so uncomfortable. And the quarantine station tours, they have tricks where they purposely dress up actors in like 1800s clothing to jump out of bushes to scare you. It's like part of the experience. And there was one part where we went into the bedroom of this Gravediggers cottage and the cupboard doors flung open. And we thought, what did we just experience? Oh my God, none of us recorded it on video. We thought, oh my God, this is so real. And then the next group went in, the same thing happened to them. And we're like, oh, it's a trick, you know.
Yeah. Triggered every time.
Like, you must step on a floorboard or something and it causes the cupboards to fly open.
Yeah.
Like, whatever technology they had, it was great because we inspected the whole cupboard. We couldn't find pulleys, strings, magnets, nothing like that. So,
well, you never know. It could have just been the same spirit as well, playing the same trick. He's like, ha! Look at this. These guys laugh. These scream. The next guys will do a bigger one, I bet.
But this
you gotta remember, they're bored. They're just trying to trick people anyway.
Yeah. Like, so this is one of my old friends, Belle. She sat down on this chair, and this was in the lounge room of the Gravediggers Inn. And straight away, she was like, I do not like sitting here. I need to get up. And I was like, let me take a photo first. So that's how I got this shot. And then I sat down on it, and I could feel something ice cold on the back of my neck. I'm not going to lie. It actually felt really good because I was a very sweaty mess. But I was like, there's something behind me. And I told my friend to video it. And like, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. But I'm going to bring up the video because there's a really weird ass sound. So this is the video. Let me expand it. I'll play it from the start.
What?
There's something calling in my
nobody
feet.
was there.
Did you hear that sound? The weird like.
Yeah, what was that?
Don't know. That was not there when we were in that room at the time. We only heard this when we played back the recording. So, I'll play it one more time.
What?
There's something calling in my feet.
Nobody was there.
Is there anything on camera?
Especially with the little ones.
No.
And like the weird thing too is at the same time I could feel something like pressing on my feet. Like it didn't want me to get up out of the chair.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything. I didn't like hear that noise at the time. And we asked every other person, including my lecturer, being like, "What did you guys hear anything? Did you see anything?" And they're like, "We never heard anything because we were trying to listen to the tour guide, and you guys kept being like, ooh, there's something on my feet." And I was like, "Listen to this." And my film lecturer was like, "Oh, you've done a good job of adding that sound in like Premiere Pro or whatever." I was like, "Dude, this is unedited footage. I never did that." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, yeah, sure you didn't. And I was like, "Dude, I've never done that." So then I asked my film lecturer, is there a way that could have been a camera sound? Like, you know, maybe my friend who was recording. Yeah, like turning the lens to like a different zoom, or maybe it was an internal button that could have been picked up. And he looked at me like as if I was crazy. He's like, "It wouldn't make that loud a sound, Justin." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I'm a second year student." Like,
yeah,
you know, I'm trying to like debunk it without putting on Facebook like, oh my god, real proof of ghosts. Just in case I get embarrassed and someone's like, actually that's the sound of the recording mechanism, like here's the proper sound, but we haven't been able to debunk it. I feel like I really want to go back to the quarantine station and do another tour just to see if I experience the same things, but there was some weird ass shit. Another friend claimed that he got smacked on the leg when we were in this dining hall area, but thing is, like, I'm not calling out this friend per se, but it felt like he was just saying it to try and fit in, as like
to like join in.
Yeah, and it's like, and
I
I asked him on the way home in the car, I was like, oh, did that really happen to you in the dining hall? And he goes, no. And I was like, oh, okay then. And then when I put this video up on Facebook, he was like, oh, why didn't you talk about how I got smacked on the leg? And I was like, because you told me it didn't happen. He was like, no, it did happen, Justin. I was just like being sarcastic in my response to you in the car. And I was like, were you really though?
Why?
I am curious to know, have you had any paranormal experiences? And if so, feel free to share them all.
Yeah, I feel like my family is very spiritual. Like from the start, I just know I was always like had multiple imaginary friends and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I've been pretty connected. It's more, for me, it's more the feeling that I get when I walk in somewhere that I know that, okay, we're all right, there's something here, it's just chilling. Or if we walk in somewhere and I get chills, I'm like, we gotta go. But I guess like the story that I'll probably tell, me and my cousin Cassie, the one that's with Toya now. So me, my cousin Cassie, and a couple of friends were all living in a place in Melbourne. And, you know, we were 18, 19, 20, and into the Ouija board. So we just, we all moved into this house together, and one of the housemates was like, that's it, I know you guys, no Ouija boards in this house, like yada, yada, yada. First weekend she went to her parents, the Ouija board was out. And we were having a good time. And, you know, it was the first time, like I had played Ouija board before, but it was like with high school friends at school, like using like a necklace as like the pendulum kind of thing. Like this was my first time with my cousin Cassie, who was very much more into it, experienced with it, knew what she was doing. So it was like, it worked this time kind of thing. And so we're sitting around this coffee table, getting everything ready. We open up the session, you know, just messing around, like taking the piss out of it, because that's where it always starts, is like just being funny, and then the shit happens and we're like, oh, okay. Everything kind of seemed fine. From what we could tell, we were talking to our grandma. We like asked the questions, she like gave us the right answers, and then we asked this one question about someone in our lives that we weren't really confident on, and we were like, what should we do about it? And the energy in the room kind of changed. Everyone kind of all at once kind of sat back and was like, this is weird. And then it spelled out STAB, which is stab. And we were like, grandma would never, like, she would not, like, she might look down her nose at you, but I don't know that she would stab you. So we kind of took a step and was like, okay, something's weird. In that moment, we're all kind of looking around, and Taco, which is Cassie's little chihuahua, came up and sat on the couch, but sat on the couch in the way that, you know, when a dog like curls up and scooches right into your like lap, like into the side of your leg. Yeah. You could see on his fur the indent of like the flatness of something that he was rolling and cuddling into. And like the seat was like someone was sitting on the couch next to us, and he had like jumped up there, looked at it, curled around in a corner and just snuggled up into it to let us know that there was something there. And we were like, oh, that's not okay. Like, what the heck? And then from there, we actually just kept going. You know, one of us in the group was an antagonizer. Me, I was a little bitch in the corner, like nearly ready to cry. And Cassie, the strong one that was like, we got this, we know what we're doing, you know, like whatever. So we're hands on the board. It starts spelling out something, and I'm like I'm a very big sook in this friendship group. I am the one that's like, I want out, like I don't want to be here anymore, like I'm done. It started spelling out something, and I kind of was looking away because I was like, I don't want to know anymore. It started getting really heavy in the room, and it started spelling out, went up to R, and then it went to like something else, and that's when I looked away. And the antagonizing one, realized where it was going. It was spelling out run, but realized where it was going and grabbed it and pulled it off the board so it couldn't finish spelling it. As the planchette left the board, there was a crash in the kitchen. We all went out to the kitchen, and the knife rack had like fallen off the kitchen wall, which is like screwed in by the people that owned the house. Like, it wasn't like one of those suctiony ones that you can just stick on the wall. It was like screwed in when we got there and leased the place, had been ripped off the wall, and the knives were all on the floor in the kitchen. And that was when I said, you know what, I'm gonna just go sit out the front for a bit. And we all kind of just went and sat out front for a bit, and just, I think it was like an hour and a half we had to sit out the front and just like calm ourselves down before we could go back in. But ever since that night, that house was messed up. No one could be in there alone. Like, the bedroom that Cassie was living in at the time just was this dark energy. Ollie, you know Ollie, Oliver, he is very spiritual to the point where he can communicate, he can talk, he can see, like, whatever. He used to come over to our house. I asked him to close that bedroom door one night as we're all going to bed. I was like, oh, just on your way past, can you shut that door? And he was like, wait, which door? And I was like, oh, Cassie's door. And he was like, oh no, I'm not touching that room. I'm not going anywhere near that room. There's portals in there. Like, yous have opened some shit and you haven't closed it. I can't go in that room. Like, and it was really messed up. We all ended up leaving that house slowly, one by one. Like, just everyone slowly kind of moved their stuff out and like, oh, we're done here now, bye. And then I was like, I'm done here now, bye. Like, even Anthony lived in that house. Anthony, Stratiosis.
Oh, yes.
He came and lived in that house with me, and the friend, after Cassie moved out, he took Cassie's room, and he even said, like, he couldn't sleep. There was, like, things would turn off his TV, turn on his TV. Like, it was just a messed up house after that night. But that's probably my, like, most intense one that I'm willing to share, because like, there's some more, but like, it's just a lot. But yeah, don't play Ouija board, kids.
Oh, I've always been, even though when I was a teenager, I was always interested in wanting to do a Ouija board. No one in the like Coffs Harbour area had a Ouija board. Like, there were some groups of people who would do makeshift Ouija boards, but I always feel like they never did it properly. Like, they were just like cutting letters out of newspapers or whatever to try and make them up.
Okay, yeah.
But I remember my older sister told me that, so I was 13. I wasn't where they had done this makeshift Ouija board, but it was her and a group of friends, and they were doing it. I don't know what questions I asked. All I got told was that they had been messing around with it a lot, and then they said, what's your name? And it spelled out Red Rex, Redrex. And they're like, what the fuck is Red Rex? Like, is that a nickname for someone? Is that a demon? They never bothered actually researching it or anything. And like, before this podcast, I was like, oh, I better actually make sure this doesn't belong to like a demon name or like some weird thing. And never been able to figure out what this Red Rex person was, but they kept it to themselves. I was the only other person they told. I don't think my mum knew about it because she would have lost her shit.
Yeah.
like my dad's side of the family, I haven't heard any ghost stories, paranormal stories. My mum has experienced so much paranormal activity that I'm actually surprised I've never had a shared experience with her, because she's had stuff happen to her when she was a child, when she was like just had my older sister, then when I was born. Um, Lately, I don't think she's seen anything, but my mom's very intuitive. Like, if she gets a bad feeling about something, she just automatically rules it out. She's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to this event. I'm not going to this house. Or,
Yeah.
like, terrifies
Yeah.
her. And
That's good.
likewise,
She needs to stay in tune with that because that's usually correct.
yeah.
110% of the time.
And, like, there's this one story which actually I do have to save it because I think she is coming onto this series because
Oh,
she has
cool.
a lot to tell.
Yeah,
One
awesome.
one story she tells, like I was told about this when I was like 10 years old, and when she told me I was like, yeah, bullshit mum, as if like ha ha ha. And then when she told me this other side of the story where she had a witness, I was like, no you didn't. I asked the witness directly and she was like full on terrified. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, oh, okay. My mum was telling the truth the whole time, so
Yeah.
that's pretty fucking weird. But like my older sister with this Red Rex one, I don't know if this is necessarily true because this isn't what my sister told me. It's what one of her friends had told me. Like I was, even though I was like 5 years younger, I was always annoying my older sister, being like, "I want to hang out with you and your friends.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're 17 and smoke weed. I'm 12. I'm cool." And
Yeah.
then we would like always be in her room, or we'd be like at the like balcony areas or whatever on chairs and whatever. And I remember her friend, I think his name was Seamus, turns around to me and goes, "Oh, did your sister tell you about the Ouija board?" And I was like, yeah, she told me it spelled out Red Rex. And he goes, yeah, do you want to know the crazy thing? My little sister was spelling out Red Rex in her bedroom in crayons. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, isn't that so cool? And I was like, if that's real...
That means that came home with you, sir. What the hell?
Yeah. I was like, I can't tell if he's joking or not because the other friends who were there, part of the Ouija board, were laughing about it. So I was like, I think they're just joking. They're just like trying to scare me because
Okay.
I was so annoying as a 12-year-old. So
Yeah.
they're probably just like, oh, fuck, how do we make this little bitch disappear so that they can continue like drinking and smoking? But I've since that time, I've been like, I don't know. I feel like I probably would do a Ouija board anyway, but I would do it with the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is that as long as you're doing it safely, it should be fine. It's a very great way to communicate, but there's a fine line.
Oh,
A
yeah.
very fine line.
Like,
And learnt the hard way that once it's open, if you don't shut it, it takes a lot longer to shut.
start of August 2014, I started seeing... I don't know how to explain this without sounding like an actual crackhead, but it was this person who looked exactly like me. Same, and like back in 2014, I always wore a denim jean jacket. I had usually blue pants, maybe it was denim on denim with a white shirt, which actually I still wear today, but it's like a nice coat with a white shirt.
Yeah.
But and I would always see this person. And for the first week I saw them, it was only on the corner of my neighborhood. And in Redfern, I mean, Redfern is notorious for having a lot of, I don't know how to say this respectfully, drug addicts, junkies. Oh.
Oh, it was rain. Yeah, I just didn't know what that was. It sounded like something was like driving into my house. The rain just started.
I was
Okay,
like,
sorry.
I was like, oh my god, Lincoln had a paranormal experience when we were recording. This is what your paranormal experience is. But sorry, not we. So I had seen this figure every now and then, never talked to me, never bothered me or anything. But then the second week, I started seeing this figure every single place I went to. So the first couple of days, it was at the smoking area behind my work. And I used to work at a creative arts, like tertiary institution. So I would go out the back multiple times a day. And I would just see this person who was either sitting down opposite, like down the street from where the area is, and then he would get closer every day. And I was like, what the fuck is this person doing? because I would see this person outside after work. As soon as I'd walk home, there he was on the corner of my neighborhood. And I was like, maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe he doesn't know who the hell I am. I've never spoken to him. And then after that, I started seeing this person every single place I went to. Like, as soon as I'd leave home in the morning, he's there on the corner. I'd get to work. He's beaten me to work. And I would take shortcuts everywhere. So I was like, how is he getting there ahead of me? And there were some stages where it didn't happen every day, but some days he would be matching what I was wearing. So it'd be like I would wear a button-up white shirt. He'd be wearing a button-up white shirt. I'd be wearing a black graphic t-shirt with like ripped jeans. There he is wearing a black graphic t-shirt with ripped jeans. Might not be the same graphics on his shirt, but it was too similar for me to be like, this is not a coincidence anymore. This is something I can't explain. I wasn't drinking or smoking during the morning, but after work, as I mentioned before, like it was straight onto the joints. It was straight onto, it's like sometimes alcohol, interchange it sometimes, but I would meet up with friends after work as well. There's the figure. I went on Grindr thinking if he's a stalker from Grindr, he'd be on this app, right? No one was there. So I was just like telling my friend at the time, you know, this is what I've experienced. No one took me seriously because they knew how bad my addictions were. So they were just like, dude, you need to get off the alcohol. You need to get off the drugs. And I'm like, I know the fucking difference between what I'm seeing when I'm high versus what I'm seeing when, like, you know, sober. This has happened at both states. So I don't know how to explain it. And then Art Rave came along. I didn't see this figure for about maybe 4 or 5 days. So I just assumed he had disappeared. And I don't know if you know this story. I got kicked out of Art Rave.
What show?
The second Sydney show.
The 30th of August?
Yes.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. I was too busy getting dramatic.
So there was a pre-show VIP where they were giving out lots of like free alcohol and food. When I say free alcohol, I mean we paid for it in our ticket price anyway. But I had made close friends with Emma and Christine. I had never met them prior to when they came to Sydney for Art Rave. And we just formed like a close-knit bond. We were like, we're so annoyed because there's this one Aussie monster in our mean group that we didn't like. So, you know, I'm not going to name said person, but that's how we were kind of united. I ended up having close to about... I was saying this to Lincoln today. In my mind, I thought I only had 3 glasses of wine, but after the recording, I spoke to another friend from Art Rave because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to talk about this experience and I haven't told you. So I'm going to tell you first so you're not like, why didn't you tell me? Why did you tell Erin first?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, do you remember Art Rave? And she was like, oh, when you had like 12 glasses of wine. And I was like, I did not have 12 glasses. I had 3. She's like, Justin, you had 12 glasses of wine. So I believe her as opposed to my own recollection. So I must have had like 12 glasses of wine. I was really drunk, but at the same time, I've drank a lot plenty of times in 2014, but I knew my limits. And I felt like, and I will maintain this to this day, I felt like my drink was spiked because there was such a dramatic shift from, I think the show started at like 9. And we had been drinking since like 7 o'clock. And I was like buzzed, like a little bit buzzed. And then after 5 minutes, I just lost control. I was yelling at people in the crowd down below because the R-pop zone stage was elevated. Yeah. And I'm like, peasants.
Yes. And... Okay, but they can't. That's so messed up because that was the energy of Art Rave. That was like... Everyone was peasants. Everyone was like, that was just how we were talking to people then. Anyway, keep going.
And like,
sorry, I just flashbacks.
And like, I remember little snippets from that specific Art Rave, like jumping up and down and like seeing my old friend from high school. But my energy was very off. Instead of it being drunk me, it felt like a different version. Like I was just like so manic and like my eyes were wide as hell. And I remember talking to my high school friend Hayden, and I was so excited to see him. And then he was like, "Are you okay? Like, were you on drugs or something that night?" I was like, "Dude, I don't know. I just had a lot of alcohol, but I suspect I may have been spiked because I've never had this kind of drunken experience before, even on times where I've like blacked out from drinking too much." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you were kind of scary." I was like, "Oh, I know I was. Like, I'm not denying that." But the security had to do the right thing because I had broken a part of the fucking art rave stage, the art pop zone section where the meet and greets were held. So security had to escort me out of the venue. I don't blame them for that. And I don't remember I remember the security taking my arm and taking me off the stage. I thought I was just getting put to the side. They took me out of the entire arena and they said to me, "If you don't sober up, you are not going to meet Lady Gaga." And I was like, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm sober. I was just joking." I was clearly not sober. So they gave me a bottle of water. I walked around the huge arena in Sydney 3 times. I missed a good portion of the show. I think I was outside for about half an hour. But in that time, I called my boss, told her I was drunk, don't know why, on a Sunday night, and called in sick the next morning. And I was confused why she was angry with me because I'd forgotten that I had called her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, "Why is everyone angry at me at work?" And then I had called my mum, I called my sister. My mum was worried about me, my sister was worried about me because they're like, "Yeah, you drunk call us sometimes." And be like, "I love you guys," but this was like some next level shit. Like, "Did you take something?" And I was like, "No, I didn't take drugs. I didn't even smoke weed before the show." I was determined to not be messy. Ended up being the most messiest I've ever been in my life. But
Yeah.
when it was like the third time I was walking around this arena out in Sydney, and I saw the figure that I hadn't seen for like 5 days, and I was like, "What the hell is he doing here?" And now he was dressed in a denim jacket, white shirt, pants. I was not wearing that day. I was wearing a tuxedo with a black tie, a stupid as fucking black tie that would never stay straight. And he was just standing there, and he was at this weird like entrance exit area where like the crew members go to, like it's like a little secure car park for them. And I remember just looking at him, and I had my phone in my hand, and I was like, "Hey, hey." Didn't turn around. And I always thought it was very strange that the times I had looked at him, we had a similar face shape. Like, not necessarily the same eyes or the same mouth, but like the same nose, the same like structure of like our cheekbones and everything. So I thought I'd yell out, "Justin." And he turned around, and I swear I thought I was looking at like a future version of myself. Like, we look similar. I was like, that's how I'm gonna look like in my current state if I turn 40, like on the spot. Like, I was so convinced. And then I heard a noise behind me, so I just turned around really quickly and turned back like that. No more figure. And I was like, "Where did he go?" There's nowhere he could have like run to in that short amount of time. There is no area where he could have like hidden because it was a car park entrance.
Yeah.
So I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And like, I never told anyone about it because A, why would anyone believe me? Because I was completely drunk or possibly spiked that night. And also, I need to say this as well. When I say that I think I was spiked, I don't know who could have spiked my drink because there was no one in that pre-show VIP. Yes, there were some people that didn't like me because of Aussie Monsters. None of those people would have ever spiked my drink, nor would they have spiked anyone else's.
I
So,
will say the 30th of August, that show, I remember up until Alejandro. And then the next drink that was handed to me, I don't think I remember after that. So I reckon that there was someone there trying to make us have a better time. But I'll tell you right now, I remember having a good time. The next thing I remember is after Alejandro, I did these ones with Gaga, like made eye contact with her. And then the next thing I remember is clicking back to and Jake being on the floor at the end of Swine, like me and him, like, and he had blood pissing out of his head. So I was like,
oh,
yeah,
shit.
at that show, he was headbanging so hard, like throwing him, Jake. like had his big pleaser heels on and everything. So like throwing his head around, lost it. The ground at the Cindy show was just full concrete. Hit his
Yeah.
head. It was at the start, the first breakdown of swine. He was up, we had him in medical, and he was back before the end of swine. They just like put a band-aid on him, and he was like, put a band-aid, I'll be back after the song. Because like the last song, he was like, I'm not missing it. So he like came back out, and then after the show, we then had to go back to the med tent, and they like glued him up and stuff. Like, I reckon 100% someone at that show was bike and drink.
I do want to say thank you very much for joining me on this very, very long episode that needs to be cut down.
Yeah, that is so fine. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to be a part of it anytime.
Thank you. If you liked our episode, give us a comment, like, share, subscribe, tip, etc., etc. Check out our previous episode with Lincoln Smallwood. And if you hated this episode, go fuck yourself. Bye. Done.